Well, short turnaround, coach. UTEP, not short really, but I mean, after playing last night, you got a couple of days. But
Yeah.
what do you know about UTEP?
Quite a bit. Obviously, there's some film on them. 3-game sample size. I think they're very disruptive defensively. They're going to attack the glass. They're shooting a three really well, early in the season. So I think it's a team that is really a defensive-minded team. So we've got to have great spacing. We've got to execute. Shot making. We need to make some shots. And we got a lot of stuff to clean up here in the next 48 hours. But, really good team.
Mentioned things you got to clean up. What are the biggest things you feel like you need to clean up as a team?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what side of the ball. I think offensively, transition offense, getting our shape, getting to spacing. If we get scored on, getting the ball out quicker. I think we're a little bit discombobulated. Getting the ball side to side, whether that's through a pick and roll, whether that's through a spray. Those are some things offensively. Defensively, some strategic things. In ball screen coverages, this team loves ball screens, so we got to do a really good job in that. Just all there's so many things, to be honest with you.
Turnovers is one thing you did cut down the other night. I mean, six turnovers.
Yeah, I think that won the game, Sean, to be honest with you. You look back at the film, you watch it. That was the biggest key to that victory was, I think we had 3 in the first half. Of the 6 we had, Mason had 4. So just, understanding him taking a look at some of his turnovers and making sure those are corrected.
So UTEP kind of has a trio of kind of their scores that are all averaging double digits, but especially having 2 forwards.
Yep.
Kind of what's the game plan for your size inside with Gary and KT?
Yeah, I mean, Gary, Zach, KT are going to be a big part of this. We got to do a really good job of trying to deny those guys. Those kids that get the ball on the block, they're really, really relentless. The biggest key to this game is going to be the foul line. Which team cannot foul? As crazy as that sounds. They're doing an unbelievable job right now. Historically, if you look at UTEP, though, they're playing so aggressive that they do foul, right? And we have to clean up our fouls. So I think the team that can play a clean game, cut down on your turnovers, rebound the ball, and fouling, to me, this is going to be those are the 3 biggest keys.
Kind of an interesting thing from their last game against LMU where they shot really poorly inside the arc, where they shot pretty well in their first 2 games, they're against non-D1 opponents. Was there anything you saw in that game in particular where UTEP just couldn't seem to make shots inside the arc?
I thought LMU did a really good job in the second half, trying to take them out of some things. They did a little 3/4 court pressure, but UTEP got shots, right? I mean, basketball sometimes it's as simple as comes down to shot making. I think you're spot on that. They've got some guards, I think, that are very capable of getting it going. So understanding, having a better presence within our scouting the next 2 days of, hey, if I'm in that gap and they drive the ball and it's a non-penetrating drive, you have to inch out to shooters. I think that was our biggest mistake last night, was the middle drives. We didn't need help. We were almost over-helping on shooters. So we got to clean some of that up too.
You mentioned defending and without fouling. That's kind of been something you've harped on a couple times. How do you feel about the team's progress throughout the offseason in these first few games? How are they progressing in terms of being able to defend aggressively without foul?
Not good. I think you would probably know better than me. I think we're almost 300 in that department, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really a lack of discipline. We've got to do a better job as coaches at driving that home. You can't let a team shoot 28 free throws. It stops the game. It stops momentum. It means you're not being physical enough, and really you're not being disciplined enough. To me, basketball, the best teams are very disciplined, whether it's on ball security or on the defensive side. We got to be more disciplined. Do you have that number in front?
I don't have it in front of me, no.
It's bad.
Kind of speaking along that, I mean, you filled a couple spots in Camp Palm after last night. How much do you pay attention to that?
Every day. Yeah, every day. Yeah, every single day, probably 24 hours a day until Selection Sunday, right? So I love this system we have in place. It's based on how you play every possession, right? Probably one mistake that we made last night is we should have let Colby King score the ball the last second. We'll never do that again because every possession affects your numbers. right? We're trying to be good sportsmanship there. That's out the door nowadays, right? Like you got to try to score as many points as you can, get as many stops as you can, right? We told them not to shoot it. Next time, go shoot the layup. Unfortunately, that's how we're measured, right? I mean, it's sad to say, but every possession is a measurable.
I think it also would have given wasn't there a promotion too?
Yeah, so what did the fans get? Yeah, I didn't realize any of that, but I guess that's why they were so upset. So, and I don't want to upset our fan base because I love our fans. Greatest in the country.
When you look at the team as it is right now, like what are the biggest differences you see between this team and maybe a version of this team that's able to win the Mountain West and win an NCAA tournament game?
Yeah, I mean, we got pieces. There's no doubt about it. We skipped steps leading up to Weber State. I had about a 20-minute talk with their coach. That's one really neat thing about playing them, having a friendship with them. You kind of get, some of their takes on our basketball team, right? And it's interesting, right? From hearing from another coach, and I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I think we can win ugly. We've won ugly for 2 games, right? And we're going to be able to win pretty, So I think that is going to pay dividends, come tournament time when you have to play, 3 games in the tournament setting. I think depth will continue to get better. Luke Carney, we got to get him in the game. I said that to the staff this morning. And we got to continue to develop, right? Drake Allen is out Saturday. We'll know probably by the end of today if it's a 4-week thing or it's he'll be ready to go next week in Charleston. So I haven't talked to Drake, but I've talked to a trainer. He went in and got an MRI, and we should know pretty soon what type of ankle injury it is. And hopefully for his sake and our team's sake that it's just a week.
Kind of with that, obviously Elijah and Jordy kind of step into that point guard. Do you basically just narrow down the point guard rotation to 2 guys, or is maybe Colby or Mason? Yeah,
that's a great question. I think all hands are on deck, right? But I really trust Jordy and I trust Elijah, to probably start Elijah, probably bring Jordy right in. Those 2 guys I have full faith in. I think they're really good. They're great passers. They can really spray the ball ahead. But Drake has experience, right? He's our best defender. I think he's number 1 in the country in steals, after 3 games. So it's a big loss.
It looked like he was, I know you got to listen to the trainer stuff, but it looked like he was warming up and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to be that, what was it, an NFL thing where a guy went into the 10 and the coach was questioning. You can't question your medical staff. It's not a good business to be in as a head coach. He could have played, but it's a long season. It's not worth it, Sean. If you go back and look at that injury, it was pretty nasty. I watched it a couple of times last night.
So this is now your second year here. What kind of can you draw on from last year in this non-conference schedule? Like you said, you're winning, but kind of winning ugly, but you're winning. So what can you kind of draw on from last year where you had that 12-0 start last year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think every year's different, right? These 2 teams, really the 3 teams in a row, so VCU, UTEP, and Tulane, if you look at them historically, they are a team that those 3 teams want to turn you over. They're a pressured type of defense, right? VCU does it a lot in the full court. UTEP does a little bit of both. Tulane's going to play a matchup zone. It's totally different than last year playing Charlotte, South Florida, some of those teams. It's just a different style, right? I think the important thing is, number 1, that you win. You have to win games. How are you getting better? What are you learning about your team? I just spent probably an hour and 10 minutes talking to Coach Stu Morrill. He's in town. Just talking to other coaches, getting advice from them, learning from those guys. It was an awesome conversation. I wish Stu lived here in town. We'd have a ton of conversations, man. He's just a great guy. So I learned a ton just listening to him and talking to Coach Duff this morning, evaluating the tape and just trying to grow, get better as a coach, get better as a team. Our culture has to get better. There was a lot of poor me's. I call them, poor me. It's about the team, right? It's bigger than yourself. And then being present. That's the most important thing about this deal is, just trying to get better every day. We'll get there.
the beginning of the season, or I guess before the season started, you talked about the big rotation where they're Gary, KT, and Zach were all kind of next to each other in terms of where they're progressing. What have you seen from those guys as we're 3 games?
Yeah, last night was rough. I mean, I would have thought Zach Keller played 15, 18 minutes. KT plays 26. Gary's in foul trouble. Just the way that game kind of went, it kind of stunk for those guys. I mean, I'm not a guy that, if you get 2 fouls, you have to sit. But the way that game was being played, I felt like, Gary eventually did foul out, so we had to sit those guys longer than I would have liked. I think sometimes that's a feel thing, but I'm not in the belief that you have to sit after 2 fouls. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. We got to get those guys on the floor more together. Practice today will be important to get them on the floor together because the more they play, the more comfortable they're going to be with each other.
Looking at LMU, I mean, they shoot the ball well, but UTEP allowed them to shoot the ball pretty well the other night. What do you see in that, and how do you think you can exploit maybe shooting it?
Yeah, I thought LMU did a good job with their spacing, whether it was out of pick and roll, whether it was out of a transition opportunity. We got to get to space. We got to have good cutting off ball. We have to screen better, and we've got to get the ball side to side against these guys.
What do you see out of the 2 big lineups versus lineups with, like, your starting lineup with KT and with Tucker or Adlin in there?
Less threes, less space. We need our threes, or our bigs, to make a couple threes. Carson's now 0 for 5. I think Gary made 1 in one of the games. It gives you less space. It gives you better rebounding, probably more presence, toughness. There's give and take with both of it. I think it's a balancing act, Jason, game to game, how the game's going, how we'll go. I mean, that's a good luxury to have, I think.